Come a-running, boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near with a rising cheer that'll sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we're about to win, and we're going to win today. In the days of old, Johnny Vanderbold would just take that ball in hand, and with Benedict right in front of him, they would set sail for the land. Then Doc Eager too, with a chosen few, would be all round everywhere. And before they quit, they would calmly sit down behind that goal post there. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Cream, though they go through many battles, our colors still are seen. And so in contest and in victory, we will wave them for the team. And we'll always stir a corn husker, the Scarlet and the Cream. Come a-running, boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near with a rising cheer that'll sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we're about to win, and we're going to win today. In the days of old, Johnny Vanderbold would just take that ball in hand, and with Benedict right in front of him, they would set sail for the land. Then Doc Eager too, with a chosen few, would be all round everywhere. And before they quit, they would calmly sit down behind that goal post there. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Cream, though they go through many battles, our colors still are seen. And so in contest and in victory, we will wave them for the team. And we'll always stir a corn husker, the Scarlet and the Cream.
All right, everybody, what's up? I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We are Two Average Guys. Welcome back to the show.
Let's go.
Excuse us for 1 second. We gotta clean off
Gotta
and
dust
dust
these-
off the
dust these
balls
balls
so we
off
can
a
actually
little
go bowling this year. Don't shake your head. That was really corny. Hey, hope everyone's excited. That was hell of a Saturday.
It was.
I mean, not just from Nebraska football, but Nebraska volleyball smoked Wisconsin.
Well, it started Friday night with Nebraska beating Creighton.
It's true, Nebraska
Which
basketball.
I know not everybody, some people might be Creighton fans, I'm sorry, but
There are some J-Skers who prefer Creighton basketball over Nebraska basketball.
it was beautiful.
I don't care about either, really.
I mean, I don't really either, but if I have to choose, I'm going to choose Nebraska, and it's beautiful. So,
Really, I mean,
sorry,
that's a top 15 win for the basketball team early on in the year. And then we go to Saturday, football wins over Wisconsin, and then volleyball wins over Wisconsin.
I was kind of hoping that Indiana-Ohio State game was going to be a little better to start. But, yeah, you're talking Husker sports.
We'll get there. Okay. We'll get to the Big Ten. Bad day to be a Badger. Great weekend to be a Husker.
Yes.
Great way to be Nebraska athletics. Omaha Mavericks hockey
Got a sweep.
swept Miami. They needed that badly as well. So really, overall, just again, really good weekend.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. I told someone, like, I'm happier today than I've probably been in a long time.
That's
like, just
true.
From as far as your sports go, like,
I
I'm
know.
generally pretty happy a guy anyways, but like
Right.
to see the sports go the way it did this weekend. Now, I don't know how my Cowboys are doing last.
It's
I saw
3-3 at half.
At half, so they're tied with the Commanders. So maybe I'll have even a better weekend if the Cowboys pull off a win over the Commanders.
Bucks up 23-0
Yes.
at the Giants. They
Yep,
got booed
Bucks
off.
are up.
They were booing the guys when they went to half.
So, I mean, this was yesterday. It's one thing we talked about last week. Coming into Wisconsin played Oregon really well. They put everything on the table against Wisconsin. They played really
Like
well
we did
defensively.
against Ohio State. Yep.
Really well defensively. They ran the ball really well, but we knew their quarterback was going to be a problem because he only threw for like 90 yards against Oregon and did not look good. He's their second or third string.
Yeah, something third maybe.
If he's their backup, God bless them because they got a long ways to go. If he's going to be their starter at some point, but he was not good.
No, and the one thing that I definitely appreciated was like you talked about with Brian Knutson last week,
Yep.
is I don't want to leave any doubt. Like I don't want it to come down to the end because we know how that goes. We've seen that story so many times over the last decade, really, but didn't leave any doubt.
No.
Ran away with it. It was much more fun to watch that way.
If I had one disappointment yesterday, it's the fact that we were up 34-10, and then they ended up making it 34-25 at one point, then 37. So the fact that we let them get a couple more scores, again, I shouldn't say let them. They went down and scored on us. Our defense, I don't know if they just let up a little bit or what, didn't have that intensity, but still, I mean, we win 44-25. We get a field goal, we get a touchdown, we get another 10 points add on to it. That was a dominating win in every sense.
We made every field goal attempt.
Heck yeah, look at that. Field goals.
Yeah.
If I had to say one thing that's improved throughout the year after the beginning of the season, special teams is by far taking the biggest improvement from any position group on the entire field.
Yeah, I'm not sure what changed. I think they maybe changed snapper. It's a whole process. It's not just a guy going up and kicking. You got to have the snap good. You got to have a hold good.
Yep.
Made adjustments in season, which is good to see.
Yeah, 100%. And we also get Jacory Barney returning that opening kickoff.
Yeah, that was great. That just set
line.
the tone. I mean, this week, listening to some talk, it's like, the main veterans on this team are on defense. And, those guys haven't gone bowling before. And so it was like, let's let Wisconsin take the ball first and make a statement on D. But we got the ball first and took the opening kickoff, past the 50, ran a couple plays. Harburg keeper for a touchdown. It was like, okay, that's what we wanted to see.
Yeah, getting Harburg involved. I know a lot of people love that. I know I did too. So always good to get him involved. And, we talked about last week too. Like we talked about Harburg being involved, and we haven't seen him as involved as we hoped he would be in the offense.
It's tough because when he comes in, I mean, everyone knows he's more than likely going to run. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It brings in a different dynamic, and it worked. A few times anyway, yeah.
Beautifully. Jacory Barney had a great game. Overall.
A really good game.
He had a couple drop passes towards the end, but really overall, Barney had a great game. But
Dylan looked a lot better.
He did. He looked more comfortable. He looked more confident in his passing.
I don't know if, Dana coming in, obviously last week it had only been a week and a half. Got a little bit more time. It looked quite a bit better.
Yeah. Well, and Dana comes in, the very first thing he does in his press conference is call out the wide receivers.
Yep. And not by name, by number.
You guys got big bodies. What the hell are you doing? This is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
And to tell your veteran, these are veteran guys on the wide receiver, not Nebraska veterans, but they're veterans in the receiver room, and you're telling them I'm embarrassed by watching you play. Like, that must lit a fire up on them. Because, again, they blocked better last weekend. Yesterday was a better. Well,
I mean, overall, Banks and Nair looked better yesterday.
Hell of a catch by Banks in the back of the end zone too.
Yeah, getting a foot down.
Man, that was incredible. Again, just offensively, everything just looked different. And Dana's bringing a different dynamic to the offense.
Need to sign him long term.
Yeah,
unless somebody's going to come snatch him up and maybe take him for a head coaching role.
Absolutely. And Joel, it is good to have a happy
It
Sunday.
is nice to have a happy Sunday.
Just a much different feel from the team yesterday. And again, I think that is going to be that confidence going into next week on Friday and our night game going to Kinnick.
Yeah.
Brandon, I know you disagree. I know you think we're going to lose to Iowa. I'm going to disagree with you all day on that because I really do think that momentum for us, I was just kind of ho-humming along. Not really doing anything special. They won yesterday against who'd they beat yesterday? I don't remember. Maryland. But I think Nebraska's offense now they found their role. They don't want to be 6-6. They want to be 7-5.
Well, and like I just said before we started, it's a weight off their shoulders. How many times over the last few years have we needed that Iowa game? Needed a win in that Iowa game to go bowling, and we didn't get there.
It's true.
With the last time we beat Iowa a few years back. 2 years ago in Iowa City.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was our bowl game.
Yeah.
We weren't going bowling. So that weight was off our shoulders. We played better. Trey Palmer blew the roof off. Yeah. But, I mean, the weight's off our shoulders for as far as going bowling. A lot of monkeys off our back this week.
Yeah, and you talk about you look at what our seniors did. Ty Robinson, again, he is one of those guys – he's so much emotion on the field, so much emotion off the field. And afterwards, they talked about him coming to Nebraska. He's like, this is what we wanted, and we're so glad we're here, but we're not done. Yeah. And he said, he goes,
they can beat Iowa. He said, we got another
win. We got another win. We're going 8-5. So that's his goal. That's the team's goal. Why not? Let's go 8-5 on the year. Let's finish off strong.
For sure.
Hell yeah, he's happy to be. That was just exciting to watch him talk after the game. I mentioned too, I was like, I think he's a first rounder, and the only reason why I think he's a first rounder is linemen go off the board pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially your really talented ones, and when you're getting double, triple teamed in a 3-3-5, he's still doing a hell of a lot of good things out there.
Right. He could go first few rounds or whatever, maybe. Yeah. I'd be curious to see what ranking he is at his position.
Yeah, I bet he gets drafted. He's just a big dude. The guy's a beast.
There's no way he shouldn't get.
And we look at NFL development. He's a guy that they can really get him working on whatever they feel he needs to work on in the NFL level, and he'll be successful.
Yeah, certain techniques or whatever, for sure.
So, anyways, Ty, very happy for the seniors. Guys like Bullock and Gifford. Talk about the walk-on program too. That's kind of a tough one because we're not going to see much of the walk-ons. That's not going to be a building block for teams moving forward after this year.
That really sucks.
And that's been a staple.
The John Bullocks of the world are not going to exist anymore. James Williams is
a practice squad guy, and he comes in now. He's a starter, leading the Big Ten in sacks.
Yeah, that's too bad. There's going to be a lot of guys. I don't know what's going to happen.
It's going to look different.
It is.
Let's talk about some stats though, because I think the stats really tell the story of what really happened yesterday. If I can get them up.
All you really need to know is Emmett Johnson.
What? All right, what am I doing here? I don't want to split screen. Why I was doing that. Okay. Sorry, guys. Here, I'm going to get my stat. Here we go. So yesterday, when you look at just individual stats for Nebraska, we threw for 293 yards.
Which is, I've talked about it over the last handful of weeks anyway, that Dylan's not throwing for very many yards.
Uh-huh.
So that, encouraging to see.
Only 10 incompletions, 28-38, 293. Emma Johnson, 113 yards on the ground. And they had 3 TDs from Dowdle, 1 from Harburg in the run game. Again, our running game, that's the first game in a while that we've rushed for close to 200 yards. So that's
Harburg,
that's
6 carries. That's more than I even would have thought.
Yeah. So, again, also encouraging. So, again, we're seeing things different in the offensive game that we weren't seeing from Satterfield. We weren't seeing those play calls from the offense.
Well, six catches for 85 yards for running back.
Yeah. Heck yeah. And then our freshman is having the best game as a receiver too. 9 receptions, 85 yards. And I think I saw somewhere yesterday he's got 49 receptions on the year, which for a Nebraska freshman
is
the
most
record.
ever. Yeah. I'm glad that they put Isaiah in a few times. Not just returning punts and fair catching the ball.
Yeah.
They threw it to him a few times. He had a catch.
And another thing, I wonder, you get a new offense coordinator coming in and thinking, why is this guy only returning punts? Get him out there to catch. Get him out there to catch some passes.
Especially if he wants to play. There's only a couple games left. So, I know injuries or whatever, but That's his last home game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, and it was cool listening to what Ja'Cory Barney said after the game is his excitement for moving forward with this team and some of the guys. You talked about Quinn Clark. You talked about
I thought we might see him.
Yeah, I thought so maybe.
And maybe more Carter, but
they talked about Carter Nelson. He's like, I'm excited to grow in with these guys and play here another 4 years, 3-4 years with these guys and be successful. He talked about Emmett Johnson. He talked about all these guys that are young that they're playing with. I mean, that's a kid excited. He's hungry now.
Yeah, I know. I was a little nervous that somebody might try to come poach him, but I don't
they
know.
Still might, but
I mean, they'll come a calling, but that doesn't mean he's gonna go.
I mean, when was the last time we had a freshman as a wide receiver having such an impact like Ja'Cory Barney? He's a threat in the run game. He's a threat in the pass game. He's a threat as a decoy. Like the guy's all over the place.
Maybe like Westerkamp was probably the last time.
Not even as a freshman. I don't think Westerkamp was that big of a threat.
Well, maybe not as big of a threat.
He wasn't a Ja'Cory Barney.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe Kenny Bell. I don't know.
Yeah. So. Love Ja'Cory Barney.
Been a while.
Emmett Johnson, we've been saying this for weeks. Can't take any credit, but we've been saying it for weeks. Get him the ball.
Yeah.
Run the damn ball. Get him the ball when you need those yards. Get him the ball. Get him through the tackles. Get him outside the pocket. Get him where you need to where he can run and be successful. And we did that yesterday.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why it took so long. It was kind of like last year. By the time Purdy came in and started. And we won a couple games. It was like, and just the way he looked. I saw a clip of that highlight of his run against Wisconsin. Yep. We were here actually for that game, and it was like, what took us so long to finally make that switch?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they see something else in practice, and then when they get to the game, it's just a little different. But maybe guys work harder in practice, and so they get more playing time. Who knows?
100%. We saw Deshaun Singleton with a pick. The defense, they didn't play lights out.
No, they gave up 407 yards. It's not lights out, but
again, it was kind of hit and miss. They played really well. They didn't play really well, but
29 first downs.
Statistically, we won on just about every category. We won in total yards, we won in pass yards by 1 yard. We won in rushing yards per play. They got 10 on us, but that's okay. We still had a great game. 29 first downs. Our third down efficiency, we were 4 of 9. They were 3 of 10. Fourth down, 0 for 1. Total plays, we had 74 to 55.
Yep.
We both had 2 punts. We had less penalty yards. We had less turnovers, and we had more time of possession.
Yeah, that's going to win you the game. You look at the stats, obviously you'd know who would win that game.
You would hope, right? Yeah. So although this might be one of the worst Wisconsin teams we've seen in the past 15 years, it's also a team we should have beaten.
But we should have beaten them a few other times.
Well, for sure. But this is by far their worst team we've seen.
No, they had some injuries.
Definitely not our best team that we've seen in the last 12 years. But we won the game we were supposed to win, and we put up 44 points, and we won on every category throughout the game. You win time of possession, you win the turnover battle, you're winning in yards. Generally speaking, you're going to win the game.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. And we did everything we needed to do from start to finish. Going out and getting that opening drive and scoring a touchdown is so big.
Well, it is.
We haven't done that every game.
The other big thing was getting the touchdown right before the end of half.
Yep.
Getting a turnover and stealing 3 points right before half. That was big. That was that was like we got 10 points, but they had a missed field goal as well, and then we scored. So that was a 10-point swing.
Yep.
Then we get 10 points right before half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you really need.
Yeah.
Brandon, can't ask for anything better than that.
Brandon, Friday, I don't even care if we win by 1 point. I still feel like we're going to win. I'm always that confident, though, and always thinking we're going to win every game. So, but will it probably be close? It's Nebraska, Iowa. Yeah, it's going to be close.
Yeah, it's going to be cold.
We're not going to blow anybody out. It's going to be cold. It's going to be like 30 degrees. So it's cold for both teams.
I'm excited that it's going to be a night game because we haven't really – I mean, I don't know if we played a night game in Kinnick.
Yeah. It's probably been a while.
It's usually 11, 12, 2:30, 3, whatever.
Your day game.
For Black Friday. So I'm very, very excited for this.
Ross, interesting you think, talk about them giving up on Fickle, the team. Man, I don't know, because you look at last week what they did against Oregon. It's like they put everything on the table. And then, it's hard when you come out and play as well as they did last week against, top team in the country. And then you lay an egg against Nebraska for the most part.
Yeah, I'm not sure who they
play great.
I'm not sure who they have this week, but I mean they still need to win one more game to go bowling.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
I think Fickle's just got a ways to go. Again, he's only his second year. He's got time. Fickle's a great coach. No doubt about it. I don't want him to turn the program around.
I expected that at this point. I expected them to be better, although I expected us to be a little better than we have been. I did expect them because he was kind of a hot commodity.
Well, also they lost their starting quarterback.
Right. I mean, it happens. That's we know all about that. We've lost quarterbacks how many times over the years.
And if I remember correct, I think they had a lot of guys transfer out when he came in.
Okay.
So I think the transfer portal has been kind of a nightmare for them with losing some guys, which is interesting because, again, Fickle's a good coach. I think he's a good dude. Coming from Cincy, I think it's Cincy, right?
Yeah.
Coming from Cincy, he did some great things there, and so it's interesting. So I don't know if he's given up on him, Ross. I don't know. Maybe we're seeing two different things, but it could be. Maybe they are. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope.
I think they may have just, like you said, they put it all out there last week and to lose by 3 to the number 1 team.
Yeah.
Well, we did the same
went balls
thing.
Out.
Yeah.
Against Ohio State. Then we come in look like crap after that.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. So,
kind of that hangover, even though it's a week later.
Yeah, and even though you lost, but you put everything out there. So
I think Wisconsin's got a ways to go, but I mean so do we, right? But I think our offense just took some big strides, which again was very exciting to see, and I think we take that into next week. I think our seniors are pumped. Our seniors we don't want to end 6-6. We want to do better.
Well, and a lot of those guys were a big part of that. Especially on defense, those guys were a big part of beating Iowa 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and remember them celebrating with the trophy on the field. Garrett Nelson and everybody else, but they want that feeling again.
Yeah,
and then go 7-5, and then like you said, go to bowl game. Who knows where we'll end up?
Yeah,
but get 8 wins. It's been a long time.
That's huge. And like Ross is saying, Ross was at the game. He's bummed we weren't there. He's like, yeah.
I know. I saw that, Ross. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, they couldn't tackle. We did a much better kind of breaking tackles, and Dana tore them apart. And that's, again, it's a new offense coordinator. He's seen different things. And Rule talked about bringing in Dana. He's like, it's always good to have someone from the outside of the program come
an outside
in,
perspective,
someone that's seeing things differently than what our guys are currently seeing. Because if you're not seeing what you need to see as an offense coordinator, either maybe just blind and you think
or you got tunnel vision.
Yeah, eventually it's going to work. Or, man, that would have worked if this happened. Well, instead you get someone from the outside come in and say, that's not working, so let's not do that again. Let's try something a little bit, tweak the play a little bit.
What do you mean, like screen passes?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting theory there.
And, hey, if your wide receivers are blocking, some of those screen passes are going to work in the right situation.
That's true.
But you get a guy coming in from the outside, he's going to see things with a different perspective and say, you know what, that's not actually a bad play. Let's tweak it a little bit. So it actually will do this instead of that, and then boom.
Right, or let's
get a 20-yard.
Let's have a different personnel.
Yeah.
That can block.
Uh-huh. So I think Dana's a great addition to the team, and I think some people were a little skeptical when he came in. I haven't seen Dana. We haven't seen him in the NCAA in 3-4 years.
No, I think wasn't he the head coach for Houston even last year?
Was it last year?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Maybe it's been a couple of years. Either way,
it's
been a couple of years since we've probably seen him. So it's good to have him back. And I'm not expecting air raid offense from him because
that's not going to win us Big Ten games.
Yes, because he knows that. He's not an idiot. In the Big 12, you can do that.
Right.
In the MAC, you can do that. ACC, you can probably do that.
Right.
Even in the SEC. But in the Big Ten,
you got to have balance.
Yeah, Big Ten, you got to win in the trenches.
Yep.
And I think he could also be a good help when it comes to recruiting for the trenches.
Yeah.
He talks about the offense. Hey, this is how you're going to be involved in our offense. This is how you're going to be part of the success of the offense. Again, we've seen him at head coach, a couple different schools. He's had success.
West Virginia was good. Houston was
good. He's got what it takes to help Rule on the offensive side of the ball, and also help some of these young guys on the offensive side of the ball, and those position coaches too.
Yeah.
He's been coaching a lot longer than some of these guys on our staff, and so I think that could also be a big boost to the offensive side of the ball to help them see. And then guess what? That also helps the defense. The defense is practicing against a first-team defense. It's going to help them see different things too, and have to prepare for things. So, again, just a hell of a good Saturday. I'm pumped. I'm excited.
It really was.
It's a great day. Play design was impressive. Yeah. Emmett Johnson again. That guy, I can't get enough of him. He's such a stud.
Well stated there, Ross.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can do the same thing to Iowa. He's coming up with a game plan right now.
Yeah. And again, like
I don't think Iowa's defense is as good as they normally have.
They're not as good.
They have a good running back. We're gonna have to stop it.
We're gonna have to
stop the freaking run.
Yep, it's kind of like what we did against Rutgers. You kind of you sell out for that run game. Sell out, but you maybe stack the box.
Make them beat you. Make them beat you deep.
Make them beat you. We know they don't have a quarterback that's good. So
did Cade leave?
Yeah, Cade McNamara left.
Okay.
Again, he's
the other guy was probably better anyway.
Maybe, but he's a starting quarterback. Then Sullivan comes in. Sullivan gets hurt. Now they got a linebacker for a quarterback. And so I think as a starting quarterback for the team that got replaced, and then you're not put back in when that replacement goes down with an injury, it's like,
that's interesting.
Why would you want to stay?
Yeah.
So I don't blame him, but I don't know where he's going to go. Or if he's going to have success after this. And honestly, I don't really care. But,
Right.
but if they got a linebacker for a quarterback, so I'm not expecting them to beat us through the air. We got to stop the ground game.
Yep.
Johnson had a great game again yesterday.
He's good.
Keegan Johnson's a stud. He's one of the best.
Good.
He's one of the best, if not the best running back in the country outside of Johnson. So he's number 2. He's the second best in the nation. And so we have to stop him. So I have a lot of respect for Keegan Johnson.
Is it Keegan?
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
Wasn't Keegan Johnson the one from
Kate Johnson, Keegan?
I don't know. It's not that important. But
it's kind of important because if I'm screwing up here,
well, I think you are, but I didn't want to hurt your feelings about it, Matt. But no, he's good. He's really good. And then
Keegan's at K-State.
Yeah, I was he transferred away from Iowa.
Keegan was Bellevue West.
Yeah, Chester Johnson's kid.
Yep.
No, at first I thought that they moved him to running back, and he was, but I was like, no. That's
You're like, wait a second. Caleb Johnson.
Caleb.
It started with a K. Caleb Johnson. Sorry. Caleb Johnson.
He's really good.
So we got to stop him.
Gotta stop the run this week.
And I think we stop the run game. We do a good job up front.
Make them throw the ball and get some turnovers.
Maybe don't do a 3-3-5. Maybe if you do a 3-3-5, bring guys up in the box a little bit, 4 or 5 guys on the line.
Man.
We got to get our linebackers involved in that game big time and make some tackles.
I mean, I know I kind of called him out yesterday, and then he made a couple decent plays, but I don't know. Gifford is just – he still looks lost sometimes. I don't know if they're not putting him in the right spot or he's just a step behind, but it's just kind of been that way this year, and I was really excited to get him back because he's been really good the last couple of years, and he just seems out of place.
Yeah.
So he needs to get things shored up before this week.
100%. And Ross, we did talk about at the very beginning. You missed just the very beginning, but just the pressure's off. Pressure is off. They can play free, go out and win that game. We get 7 wins.
We don't have to win to get to a bowl game.
Look at what he's saying here too is as a 7-win team for Nebraska, we're going to get looked different at the bowl selection committee than some of these 8-win teams. Because of the money Nebraska is going to bring to that bowl game.
And the eyeballs with Dylan and I mean, just the fan base. I mean,
and we want to go somewhere. And Nebraska doesn't want to go somewhere cold.
They don't want to go to Detroit or New York City, but they probably will.
If they can select Nebraska to go
Bronx,
somewhere like even the Holiday Bowl, somewhere warm. Go to Florida, go to California, go somewhere warm. They're going to get Nebraska there because they know Nebraska will still travel to Detroit or New York, whatever. But if you get them to a warm place, you're going to get even more fans going to those games. We are going to go.
Well, and I'm just really curious to see what conference, we're matched up against and just kind of see how that plays. I mean, I know we played Colorado, obviously beat them, beat a Big 12 team. But I don't know. We haven't been to a bowl game for so long. The last one we played was against Tennessee. Are we going to get an SEC team?
Yeah.
Or are we going to get an ACC team? I'm just kind of intrigued to see a different matchup.
That's true.
Because we haven't had very many opportunities in the last several years.
100%. So when we talk about bowls, we talk about playoffs, we talk about Husker football. We're now eligible for a bowl. We know we're going to go because we know the bowl selection committee loves Nebraska. And I don't know why they wouldn't.
We went to a bowl game when we were 5-7.
And listen, it's like, again, it's brand. It's a brand. Nebraska is a brand. You get those brands in the bowl games, you're going to sell more tickets, especially a team that travels really well. So it's going to happen. It's a matter of who we're going to play. Nebraska fans don't care who we play. We're going to try.
Oh, no.
But, I've seen a lot of people on social media, some people I would imagine around our age or even older that aren't Husker fans. They're like, you know what, happy for Nebraska. Like that program has been damaged for so long. To see them finally get to 6 wins, our student section rushed the field when everyone's like, that's BS. I don't care.
I don't care either.
For one, they've never seen us beat Wisconsin.
And
two, they were little little children when they did.
Well,
they were probably 6 years old.
Yeah, right. Well, and also we haven't been to a bowl game since they were 10 years old.
10 years old. So it didn't really mean much to them. Now they're at the school. So I don't care about that. We tore the goalpost down. Those kind of things, I don't care. I really don't.
Pay the fine, whatever it is.
I love that our fans are passionate. Our student section is passionate. Our student section shows up.
Well, and
there's schools that are struggling where the student section does not show up to these games.
Right.
They're going to find something better to do.
I said it this week. I was like, we really obviously needed to win over the next 2 weeks, but I was like, I really want to win this game because it's a stepping stone, and I know it's a small step. Like, obviously, we want to be better than just getting to a bowl game.
Hey, baby steps.
Right? But
what about Bob? Baby steps.
Like you got to keep the recruits. You got to keep the kids you have around. The talent that you have. You got to get people excited about it. Like kids these days that are from around here, they've never seen Nebraska good. So they're, they may or may not be fans depending on if they follow what their parents like or not.
Yeah.
We need to flip that back to how it was, like why we are such big fans, because we were so good when we were kids.
Get more in-state kids. Your guys like Christian Jones coming in,
Yes.
Caleb Benning coming, those kind of things. When you get those guys, those in-state kids that are solid players on the team, and you get that in-state recruiting going. Again, you're not going to get all the best guys out of Nebraska for sure. But you got to be able to recruit the good ones. And if they get up and they're ready to go for Nebraska football and they're excited about it, we start seeing these wins. We get to go to a bowl game.
Right.
We get to maybe go 7-5 instead of 6-6. Maybe 8-5 with the bowl game.
Right. You flip that script from the 4-game losing streak to a 3-game winning streak to end the season, and there's a lot of positivity going into next year.
Absolutely. Dalton, our man over at Cornhusker Nation, appreciate you joining the show. He was hungover today. He got to go to both.
You went to both.
He thought it was a dream. He got to go to both volleyball and football. What a dream!
That is.
Volleyball.
I'm sure a lot of people did that. That volleyball match was not what I was expecting. Not expect to sweep. I expected it to go 5.
I was expecting maybe 4, but I also thought, here's the thing, I also thought the sweep was very possible. Watching them win in Wisconsin and then going and watching the volleyball game on TV. I mean, the scores were close for a couple of the games, but really Nebraska never really let that lead go. They would get tied up a couple times, but they're always at least 3 to 4 points ahead most of the game.
They let them back in a time or two, but I really wasn't that nervous.
No, I thought I would. Nebraska volleyball just looked so damn good. It was so good, so fun to watch. Ross, watching the last 2 minutes of the game. Matt Rule, he was kind of choking up a little bit. He choked up in the post-game conference too, talking about. He was talking about Robinson.
Yeah. He
talked about getting to know a guy like Ty and who he is, the kind of person he is, the kind of teammate he is. That's the kind of coach you want. If he's choking up, he has to pause in his press conference to talk about a player, a senior, and he's only been here for a couple of years. Like that,
right.
That's
somebody that's been here for 6 years, and he's only been here for 2.
So he understands the impact that win has on our seniors to get them to that bowl game and keep them around for a little bit longer. And those guys want that. Yeah. That's why Ty came back. Mm-hmm. That's why Nash is still here. That's why we got some of these guys. Ben Hart's still here.
Well, and these
guys deserve it.
I know, a lot of people were kind of questioning Rule a couple of weeks ago, and that's why he made the change he did.
Yeah.
Bring in, he understands that if I don't care if I have to step on people's toes, even if it's a close friend, I have to do what's best for this program.
Yeah.
And
it took a while to realize it.
It did. It probably took longer than it should have, but he did it with 3 games left.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And we've already seen a big difference.
And last week we saw a little different. I knew it probably wouldn't be that drastic, but this week it was.
Yeah.
So,
Ross, yes, I did hear them play jump around. In the last couple minutes of the game.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they played jump around, and the student. That's classic trolling right there. Just harmless, good old harmless fun.
I'm sure we're not the first to do that.
We had Big Red when they were kicking the field goal. Big Red's eyeballs were up on the big screen. They're kicking the field goal.
I told you.
It's pretty funny.
It's because that kicker's mom goes out with Squeak.
Goes out with Squeak.
I get him every time.
Dalton, good job getting the hotel room and not being stupid and trying to drive back home. Proud of you, buddy. But man, again, I just totally different feeling today.
Dang, that set you back?
Such a good, oh God, such a good Sunday, man. I am just giddy with excitement.
Me too.
Yeah,
it's a good
all
day.
right. So let's talk a little bit more about Big Ten. What else happened in the Big Ten, Jim? 11 o'clock, big noon kickoff.
Yeah,
Indiana.
I was really hoping it would be closer. I mean, Indiana scored kind of down at the end, and to make it not look as bad. But then, of course, Ohio State's got to run it up in the last minute. They got to score. I get it. But I really respected Travion Henderson for going down. I don't know if you saw that play. Hand off up the middle, and he goes down, and I was like, wow, that's a stand-up guy. I already liked him to begin with. I don't really like very many plays. I really don't like Will Howard. I think he's cocky. And he's not.
Yeah.
But anyway, they go down, and then they still ran the ball twice and scored a touchdown.
That's Ryan Day right there. That is classic.
And then he says, the gal asked him after, and he said, well, and it's top 5 matchup. You got to leave no doubt.
Dude,
and we want other teams to know that we're the Ohio State University. And I'm like, you're just trash, brother.
He's such a prick. I think he always has been.
I don't even think he's that good of a coach. He just inherited
$20 million.
And yeah, I mean, he's been there for 6 years now, but he inherited a good team, and it is Ohio State. It's a big brand.
Yeah. And so,
but he's still lost to Michigan the last few years, and I kind of hope they do again just to see what happens.
So here's my take on the whole final touchdown. I think you play till the final whistle, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
But your running back goes down for a reason. If he scored a touchdown, the game's still over.
Right.
Why wouldn't he just run in the end zone? Right. He did it, said, hey, you know what? That's enough. Game's over. Let's take a knee to end the game. Yeah. I guarantee you Henderson didn't think we're going to run it in the end zone.
I doubt it, too.
Because he wouldn't have slid. Why wouldn't he get a touchdown? Everyone's like, oh, that's an unselfish play. It was.
Yeah, it was.
But then we're going to go score. We're going to run 2 more plays.
They're going to run Will Howard keeper twice. Yeah.
That
pissed me off.
That was a Bush League.
If I was Indiana, I would have been really. If that was been us, I'd have been really pissed.
And then he goes off to the sideline and actually he puts a cigarette out.
That's
like you control players, but I think when you start trolling coaches again, everyone's got a different opinion. I think that was a bullish move, and just kind of shows Will Howard's character again. Right. Yeah, you're in the moment. Whatever.
I never really liked him,
but I thought that was a stupid call. I thought it was a stupid play. The game was already over. And here's the thing: with the college football playoff committee, you're not winning on style points. You won your game. Yeah. Or Oregon's still number 1 in the AP poll after their almost fumble against Wisconsin. Penn State didn't move after they almost got beat by Minnesota. All these teams, you're not going to move when you win right now. You're so late in the season. You're already
number 2. You can't go ahead. The team ahead of you lost, or the team ahead of you beat you.
You're not going to jump Oregon. So I thought that was BS.
And to be honest, I know a lot of people, and I even said this when the game ended. I text you guys. I said. The committee is going to punish Indiana hard for this one, and I really don't think they should. I know Signetti came out and said, we absolutely are still a playoff team.
Is that really still
and they really should be. Yes, their schedule is not great, but how many times have we seen other schools whose schedule hasn't been that tough, but they're Alabama, or Georgia, and or they're Michigan, or whatever.
But here's the thing: I've seen this more than once over the last week. People will be like. Yeah, Notre Dame lost Northern Illinois, but look what they've done since.
Yeah.
So, but their schedule's crap.
It is.
The teams they beat, Florida State, they haven't played anybody great except for A&M.
Right, and they beat them.
And they beat them in week 1.
That's right.
But then you lost after that to Northern Illinois. So how can you say that game doesn't matter that they lost to Northern Illinois because of what they've done since? But then Indiana goes
just because of the timing. They lost early, and now Indiana loses late on the road against the number 5 team.
Yeah.
Not at home against a MAC team that's now 6-5.
But the SEC beats up on each other because they're all so good. No, you have Bama and Ole Miss now.
Bama scored 3 points against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's not that good.
Oklahoma's 6-5 now.
Yeah.
They have both lost. Ole Miss and Bama both have lost to 2 unranked teams. They both have 3 losses. Bama right now in the AP poll is sitting at 13. If you want to say there's no SEC bias, that's bullshit. Get them out of the rankings. They should be 16.
Where did they have Indiana?
Indiana's at 10.
Okay.
Ole Miss is at 15. Ole Miss beat Georgia.
That's why they're that high.
But
Same with
how are
Alabama.
they not ahead of Bama? They both lost to two
I don't know.
unranked SEC teams. It's not because it's the SEC. The SEC is not a strong conference as people think they are.
Not anymore. It's watered down now.
Man, I cannot talk about it more because it pisses me off. Strength of schedule is a human metric. It is not a metric that it is very subjective based on your ESPN rankings.
And when a team gets ranked in the top 10 to start the season, and you beat them, and you say, yeah, they had a ranked win, that team is Florida State that is 2-9. That doesn't count.
Yeah, that don't count as a ranked win. Let's say, and then someone said, what if you beat them and then they lose the following week and they're out of the top 25? That's not a ranked win.
It's not.
It's not. At the end of the season, you have to look at the end of the season, or as the season goes on, your ranked wins are going to change based on how they're doing in the regular season. I mean, that's how it should be. So, again, losing to Kentucky, losing to Vandy, losing to Florida, losing to Arkansas. Those are not good losses just because it's an SEC team. Those are bad losses. Those teams are not good teams. You don't deserve to move up in the rankings and be in the top 12 if you have two losses.
Or
two
three
teams,
losses.
Or, two to unranked teams and then another loss. I don't care who the other loss was to. Two
Right.
losses to unranked teams does not deserve a top 12 team. And they got
No.
Bama at 13, which is absolute crap.
I don't care. SMU should be in there ahead of those teams.
And now we got I'll pull up the rankings
Yeah,
here.
pull up the rankings.
So we do have an AP.
Obviously, it'll be different come Tuesday night. Probably not that much different.
I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different. I am very curious on where the committee looks at Bama and Ole Miss.
And Indiana.
Indiana, I think they're going to be in the top 12. I think they will probably be at 10. I can see them dropping 5 spots, but they should be in the top 12.
see them taking a bigger hit than
Purdue.
that.
They're going to beat Purdue next week.
They will. And they still have a chance to make it to the Big Ten Championship. Because
No, they don't.
They don't?
No. It's already Ohio State, Oregon. It's already been decided.
What if Ohio
Because
State?
Ohio State, unless Ohio State loses next weekend.
Yeah. What if Ohio State loses to Michigan? They have 2 losses.
Yeah. So
Indiana would only have 1.
Yeah, true. So, but I
what
thought
I'm
they
saying.
already said, well, I thought they already
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
Oregon's already in.
Oregon's already in.
Oregon was in before yesterday.
So we
they
got
came out and said that they ran through all the scenarios and there was no way.
Gotcha.
They couldn't make it.
Oregon, Ohio State,
Penn State. Actually, you know what?
Texas, Penn State.
Or is it Penn State that could make it in instead of Indiana? I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Penn State lost to Ohio State.
I know, but if
Ohio
Ohio
State
State
lose.
loses to Michigan,
I don't know. Good question.
it is a good question. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, but I think Penn State barely squeaked by Minnesota. That was a game. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, holy crap! Are they going to win the game? And it was a toss.
They've had a few of those this year. They went to overtime with USC.
Yep.
Yep. But I know TJ's obviously a big Penn State fan.
We talked about it a little bit before you got here.
They're playoff bound. I mean, they're guaranteed.
Notre Dame's in. Notre Dame's at 5 now in the AP, which makes sense.
They play USC this week.
Yeah. Yep.
What if they lose that game?
They should dominate.
Do they? I think they probably
Are
will.
they at USC or at home?
They'll be at USC.
Okay. Yeah.
No, if USC wins that game, I imagine it would probably be pretty close. Notre Dame would probably still make it into the playoff.
Yeah.
I would think.
Okay, so Penn State's in if Ohio State loses. Thanks, Ross. I knew someone would get that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. And man, Rex, I love you, my guy. But A&M, I know it's a quadruple overtime, but losing to Auburn is not good.
It was bad.
That sucks.
I was torn.
They were looking at the SEC championship. They won that game.
I was torn because I was really wanting. I like Rex. Obviously, Rex is great. And it's just somebody different in the SEC.
Yep.
It's not, that's not Bama or whatever. But I also kind of wanted them to lose just to make the SEC take a little bit of a hit.
I wanted them to win to get them to the SEC championship game.
I put 10 on my. They were my highest confidence points in our pool. So I was cheering for them.
So who do we got now? South Carolina? Are they going to be in the SEC championship game?
I have no idea. No, it's going to be Texas and Georgia.
Georgia, Tennessee. Miami's at 8. Again, Miami's got a bad loss to Georgia Tech. SMU, though,
SMU's
number 9.
in the ACC. They could beat Miami.
Indiana at 10. And then you got Boise, Boise's at 11. Clemson's at 12.
Boise's got to be in.
Yeah, Bama at 13. Arizona State.
Arizona State should be ahead of Alabama.
Arizona State and South Carolina, to me, are ahead of Bama, and Arizona State's ahead of Ole Miss already. But both those should be 12 and 13, and then get Bama and Ole Miss out of the top 15. They don't deserve it. They have 3 losses. Get them out. Illinois actually moved up 2 spots. But, and that was a wild game against Rutgers. But you know what also was exciting yesterday that we have not talked about yet? Colorado lost.
I was just thinking it.
Colorado lost to Kansas.
I also picked Colorado pretty high up. I think I had them at 9 in my points.
So Colorado.
But that's 3 weeks in a row for Kansas.
Kansas has 3 ranked wins in the last 3 weeks for an unranked team with a losing record.
Yes. It's weird.
KU, congratulate. And what's crazy?
And not only that, what were you doing early in the season? Or you could be in the top 50.
Injuries killed them early on in the season.
They could be playoff bound.
Yeah.
At this point, or Big 12 championship bound at least.
Yeah. And Ross, I don't disagree until SEC starts playing 9 conference games. You know what? Alabama even had a tune-up game against Mercer.
Yep.
Before going and playing in Norman, and they
scored 3 points. Actually, Nebraska versus Oklahoma for a bowl game would be interesting.
I'd be okay with that.
We're pretty similar.
That'd be fun. A 6-win Oklahoma, maybe 7-win. That would be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know we played them a few times over the last few years, but I'd kind of like to play somebody different. But that could be a fun one.
But talk about a crowd though.
Oh yeah.
Talk about the people that would travel for that game.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the country, you're going to see Oklahoma, Nebraska.
I don't know what some of those bowl games are tied to certain conferences, so I don't know.
I don't care. Just do it. Whatever the committee's like, just do it. Because right now, man, I would want to go.
I know.
I would want to travel to that. Like, that'd be fun to see those teams play.
It would.
Paul Feinbaum's laying in the fetal position because his beloved SEC is overrated. Paul Feinbaum.
Oh, no, he's still going to be talking about how good they are.
Paul Feinbaum and Heather Dinich they're going to be so mad that they're outside the top 12, even with 3 losses.
All they're going to say is it's just the depth of this conference.
Depth of the conference, it's a good loss because they're that good.
Yep.
No, they're not that good.
Exactly.
Like, stop sucking on the teat of the SEC. They're not good. I know you work for ESPN. I know you pay a lot of money for the TV deals with the SEC. But the SEC is not as good as you think they are. And this maybe is one thing that's going to come with that parity of your NIL and your transfer portal. And that I actually like about it is because now you're going to have more players going to other schools rather than the SEC.
SMU, Boise State, Tulane, all those teams are right there.
Even the Gamecocks. Give me South Carolina in the SEC. Hell yeah. Arizona State.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing. They beat BYU after beating Iowa State.
Oh, yeah. I know. I picked
2 weeks.
I picked BYU 2 weeks in a row.
Pick'em's killing you.
Yeah.
But Arizona State's going to be playing in the Big 12 championship game against BYU probably. So they're going to have a rematch. And Arizona State could get in the playoff.
Have to see. Yeah.
I mean, you can't put them in over a 3-loss SEC team. You can't.
We got to look at those Big 12 standings because
do it. But like Colorado got.
Colorado was right there. Iowa State's right there
yesterday, man.
Big 12, huh?
Can you imagine
Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, all 6-2.
It's probably,
I'm not sure who beat who and whatnot, but
it's probably gonna be Arizona State and BYU. Is my guess. That's what I think it is. I think they're going to lead the conference. They're going to do it. And they got a young coach.
Arizona State hockey too, beating Denver.
Arizona State hockey beat Denver. Swept them.
Swept them in Denver.
It's crazy. Like yesterday was a wild game, and everyone gets so caught up in the rankings early on in the season, as we do as well, because they're stupid. This is why you don't have the rankings out so early, but they do it obviously for betting. They do it for TV coverage. They do it for it's all about money. We know it's a business. But if you wait till week 6, 7, 8 in the season, can you imagine how those rankings change? Florida State's not stiff in the top 25. You probably don't have Bama in the top 15 with 2 losses. You probably don't have Georgia that high. Like, no. Again, it's a full body of work. Wins and losses matter, though. Strength of schedule, yes, it's important, but again, how it's made up is stupid. And 2, you have to win games. Losing 2 or 3 games you're not a top team in the country. I'm sorry.
Right, and if you're with 12 teams, I mean, like in Indiana, there's no reason that they shouldn't be in if they beat Purdue.
Yes,
it's not their fault that their schedule was the way it was. I mean, you have your non-cons.
They're made well in advance.
Right. Teams are up and down. in conference. I mean, I'm sure a lot of teams saw Indiana on their schedule this year and thought that's a win.
Yeah, we did.
I said I thought we'd lose one, either Rutgers or Indiana, but
I wasn't fooled, but I was fooled.
You know, you just never know. So you can't punish them because
of what their schedule was made 3-4 years ago.
I mean, you can punish Florida State last year because their starting quarterback was hurt.
I still disagree with that.
I still do too, but it made more sense than, okay, yeah, Indiana had one tough test. It was on the road at Ohio State, and they got their doors blown off for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't play their best.
I do think, and I'll say this because TJ's not around, I do think Penn State is not a team that's going to have success in the playoff.
Fair enough.
I just don't.
They're going to host, though.
Yeah.
So they might.
More than likely.
They might. You bring an SEC team up to Happy Valley. It's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold. Both Ohio State and Penn State are going to have snow probably on the ground. Hosting an SEC team, hopefully.
These SEC teams
or even ACC.
That have played it, we talked about it last week, that have played in these domes for their playoff games. The playoff game is going to be, games. Notre Dame's probably going to host.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold there.
How much? So I know we're not Notre Dame fans, but I've been to a football game in Notre Dame, and that atmosphere is fun. It's exciting. The tailgating is fantastic. If Notre Dame were to host a game, I
hope they host an SEC team.
I would spend money to go to that game.
I hope they.
That would be so
much,
an SEC even if it's in the snow. That'd be an experience. Yeah. SEC's going to boycott because they don't play. They're no longer going to like the 12-team playoff. They're going to be like, no, we don't like this
I sent that to you the other day, right, where they said that they were like considering to go to a seven team or a 7 conference schedule for SEC.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like, no, everybody else went the other way.
Yeah.
No.
Anything to get a step off. Again, to say, hey, we're the best conference. Well, yeah, if you only play 7 or 8 games, so play one more game in your conference, see how good you actually are.
Yeah.
We're the best No, I highly disagree with that.
Because how many times has any of the other conferences beat each other up? Mm-hmm. Because they play 9.
Oh, I saw Oregon State won the Pac-2. they beat Washington State yesterday.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're probably going to demand neutral site. I wouldn't be surprised.
There's no way that it should be. Look at college sports. I know football is different, but you get home field advantage, home ice advantage, home court advantage when you're a higher seed.
I want to see Kirby Smart in a winter jacket, all freezing, with gloves on.
Not his little.
He's gonna be so pissed
visor.
Off. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what comes out on Tuesday.
I'm really excited to see.
And next week, I hope Michigan knocks the door off Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know.
They played a great game against Oregon.
Yeah,
defensively,
you never know.
Defensively, Michigan's not bad. Offensively, they just don't have a quarterback.
Right.
They don't have a quarterback. They got a good running back. The receivers, they got a good tight end. They just don't have a quarterback that can run the game.
They got big boys up front and decent defense.
And Ohio State's rush defense is pretty good. So it's going to be a tough task for Michigan to do it, but I hope they do. I think Indiana blows the doors off Purdue.
Yes.
I don't know what the rest of the teams are playing at the end of the season, but yesterday was such a wild day in college football. I absolutely loved it.
It helped that we won in the way that we did.
And Casey, 100%. I think when you're playing teams like Charlotte, when you're playing teams like Mercer, when you're playing teams like the deaf and blind to fluff your schedule, when that's your second to last game, I don't think the NCAA should allow that scheduling to happen.
And I know they say we were just smart doing that. It's kind of dumb, honestly.
I mean, it was really dumb for Bama because guess what happens? They go out and smoke Mercer, and then they come out and get smoked by Oklahoma. That was stupid. You don't need to. That tune-up game is what you do at the beginning of the year to get ready for a conference schedule.
Well, and it's just dumb because I mean, all those guys are gonna, not all those guys, but the guys that are gonna go to the league.
Yeah.
You're not gonna ever play a week like that,
no.
And especially at the
unless playing the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Don't agree with me.
Especially down the stretch.
Yeah.
On a playoff like run, you're gonna need to be playing your best ball, and to do that, it's just silly, really.
And man, we've said that for years. Like, you should be playing your best football at the end of the season,
right?
And that's going to take you into the playoff and the championship mode. If
you're it's nice to guys that are nicked up, dinged up, to get a little break or a rest.
That's why you got 2 bye weeks.
I know.
Building your bye weeks appropriately.
Yeah.
But if you're playing your best football against Mercer and then get smoked by Oklahoma, maybe change your scheduling a little bit. Just saying. So again,
I just hate that they do it when everybody else plays one more conference game.
But again, I think my highlights from yesterday, from the Husker game. Well, here, let's start outside the Husker game. Bama and Ole Miss losing to unranked teams, and Colorado getting beat. By far, those are the 3 best things that happened yesterday outside of Nebraska sports. 3 best things in Nebraska sports: football winning, volleyball winning, and the Mavericks winning. I know Friday, outside of Friday, because I know Husker basketball. But man, it's just changes. It changes the way I feel.
I know it's weird. I mean, I've said before, like, I hate sports because like all my teams will lose on a weekend, and it's like, why do I love sports so much when I'm just miserable most of the time? But,
miserable all weekend.
No, it was all the stars aligned this weekend.
All the stars.
Even the Avs won. So
the Blues did not win last night.
Ah, shoot.
Trifecta.
Trifecta.
They're not very good. It's okay. I don't know if I have anything else, Jim. Like I was excited to be here today. I was excited to talk about football because
I just got more.
Such a good day.
Yeah, I just got more excited thinking of who we might play in our bowl game.
Yeah,
I don't know why it took me until we started doing this.
Last point I wanted to make. So we talked about the Wisconsin win. We haven't beat them in 12 years. So we've had 10 losses in a row. The last win that we had was by a field goal, 30-27, the day after my wedding.
Oh, that's right.
I planned my wedding in September. My wife wanted to get married in September. I said, fine. We're looking at dates. The Husker schedule was already out a year plus in advance. So I knew Nebraska was playing.
You guys went to the game, didn't you?
No.
Oh, for some reason
we watched it.
I know you went to Minnesota.
But we ended up getting married on a Friday, so we didn't have to. So people didn't have to come on Saturday, and maybe we should have had it on Saturday later in the day because it was, I think, 11 game.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have known what time the game was.
So anyway, we did a night wedding on Friday, and everyone complained, but we had over 300 people come. So you all complained, but guess what? You got to see us get married. You got to have free food and beer, and then you got to watch the Huskers beat Wisconsin the next day.
And then Wisconsin hung 70 on us in the Big Ten Championship that year, but we also got the Kenny Bell
hit and
best block I've ever seen,
which was not a legal hit. We beat Wisconsin for the first time since you and your wife have been together, Casey. Hey, there you go. Going to Wisconsin.
That was the first time that we beat Wisconsin since my wife and I have been together.
Yeah. And my wife and I got married right before we beat them. So, so that's exciting. That's fun. Best part about bowl is the practice to Brad. Yeah, so
we're
going to get all these practices.
15 practices.
Freshmen getting these practices, 15. Maybe even playing time.
Yeah, because I mean, I was hearing this week, and I may have said this last week. I can't remember. It might have been the week before. But that a lot of those guys, over the years, when the season ends, they all just go home.
Yep.
They're not spending time together.
They go home for Christmas break.
Yep, they go home for Christmas break. Because why wouldn't you? After a freaking long training camp season, everything, losing season, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
They're not spending time together. They're not working out. So that a whole nother month together, everybody together, that's just going to be that much more beneficial.
Especially for our freshmen.
Yes.
Especially for our freshmen.
The Barneys, the Nelsons.
The 2025 early commits coming in.
The Bricks.
100%.
These guys that we're trying to develop, wait on, whatever.
The red shirt rules out, so hopefully we see more Carter Nelson.
Yeah.
Again, those early commits like Ross is mentioning here, get to practice with the team and bowl practices. That's huge. That is such a big deal.
Yep. And
big.
It is a big deal because we haven't had that.
Yeah.
And, these teams that do it every year, like we used to do, you kind of take it for granted. Because when you don't do it for so long, then you really aren't building as good of a foundation to get back.
Yeah.
So this is a really big step, I think.
Yep.
So that's about all I got.
So I'm going to refill here before we cheers and say goodbye to everybody. Appreciate everyone coming on. Ross, Casey, Joel, saw you on earlier. Caroline, saw you on earlier. Dalton, buddy, appreciate you being on. Everybody that joined today, you guys are awesome. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate you supporting us throughout all these losing seasons. We finally got there. A freaking winning season. Second since we started. We're
Right.
10th year.
We did go 5-7, went to a bowl game, and won that bowl game.
It's true, but that wasn't winning
for one season. But that still wasn't winning season. We went 6-7, beat UCLA in the bowl game. We've only had one other winning season since we've done this.
We'll find that troll video, Ross, that you're talking about. And be on the lookout. We got a little special video coming up that we're going to post later today of Jimmy and I. I'm not going to spoil it, but we've been kind of teasing it since, well, actually, we mentioned it last year. We've been teasing it for a while with some gifts we've been putting out there. So keep an eye out. We got something special for you later today. And it involves
See
beer.
how it goes.
It involves beer, so you want to miss it. Busch Light specifically. So, all right, I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We're two average guys. Go Big Red, baby.
And we're going bowling.
We're going bowling. Jimmy can't pick.
I can't pick it up because Matt doesn't have thumb hole in his stupid bowling ball.
We're gonna hang out with our balls here. While we think about going bowling. Go Big Red.
We'll see you guys next time.
Come on, good game, everybody, yeah.
Pat, I think it's safe to say that all these fans came out here to watch a game of football.
John, ring commercial.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making conversation. Come on, football!
Come a-running, boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near with a rising cheer that'll sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we're about to win, and we're going to win